y'all doing? Push that like button. Are you liking me? Do you like me? Late night fat boy snack. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Y'all good tonight? Trump's birthright citizenship. Do anybody know what that means? Birthright citizenship. That means if your parents, if one of them was born in America and have an American birthright, it automatically gives you a birthright if one of your parents is illegal. An American birthright. Do you know what an American birthright is? A lot of people don't understand what that means. And as an American, we gotta embrace the Americanism of Americans and say to ourselves, only Americans should be allowed in America to reap our benefits. I know so many other people from other countries come over here and they get more than the Americans get. And that ain't right. Birthright citizenship. The Americans is finna speak. The real indigenous Americans of America is finna speak. I pray. Oh my God, look at the steam just came off and down. Fat girl French fries. Push that like button. What's up, Glenn? Glenn Cario in the house. Push that like button. Okay. Ooh, too hot. Too hot. Too hot. Too hot for love. Too hot for my tongue. Gotta run for shelter. Gotta run for shade. It's too hot. Ooh, too hot. And that's the way you want the fries to be. If the cheese ain't melt when you pull it off. Push that like button. I am up eating fat people late night snacks. How you doing? I know I ain't got no business. stir it up and get it right. Ooh, look at there. All the fat people in the world envying me right now because I'm eating this in their face. Steak and fries. This right here is delicious.
a new enemy number one, it's not Russia or Iran, it is Venezuela. The US is planning to attack Venezuela with drones. The US media says the strikes could begin in a matter of weeks. The US government says the targets are drug traffickers and drug labs, the ones that operate from Venezuela. Nonetheless, it will be an attack on another sovereign nation. So will this trigger a new war? Also, why Venezuela? To understand that, let's pull up a map first. This is where Venezuela is located, on the northern coast of South America. For most of the 20th century, it was known primarily for one thing, oil. And this tied them deeply to American energy needs. But then politics got in the way. In the early 2000s, Venezuela became a thorn in Washington's side, and it got worse in 2013. That's when Nicolas Maduro took over as the president of Venezuela. The US accuses Maduro of authoritarianism, sham elections, human rights abuses. Maduro accuses the US of imperialism. And so every few years, tensions flare, and right now, Washington may be planning an attack, ostensibly to strike drug cartels, those that move cocaine and other narcotics, across the Caribbean into North America. Trump has dispatched 8 warships and a nuclear-powered submarine. They are in the waters of the southern Caribbean. In the last few weeks, the US has struck at least 3 Venezuelan boats. The attacks killed around 12 people. Washington accused them of carrying narcotics. President Trump said they pose a threat to Americans. But there's no proof of any of it. And Venezuela is not buying the American line. In response, thousands of Venezuelans have joined a civilian militia. Many have taken part in weapons training. They were held at military barracks and in neighborhoods. President Nicolas Maduro says this is not about drugs, this is about intimidation, maybe even regime change.
The denunciation of this attempt to bring war to the Caribbean and South America in order to promote a regime change that would allow them to steal Venezuela's incalculable oil wealth and so forth out of Venezuela. The Venezuelan people love peace, and that is why they are always ready to defend it. Threats, lies, nor cannons do not frighten us.
For Venezuela, this feels like history repeating itself. The US has a long record of intervening in Latin America, sometimes directly, sometimes through covert operations. Maduro's government argues that the real goal is not to bust cartels. It is to destabilize and eventually topple him. And this is not an outlandish fear. Washington has already tried the maximum pressure approach in recent years. They've imposed sanctions, there have been oil embargoes, recognition of an opposition leader, Juan Guaido. But none of it worked. Maduro is still in power. And then there's the China factor. Beijing is making deep inroads in Venezuela. It is a top arms supplier to Maduro. It is also propping up the country's crumbling oil industry. Nearly 90% of Venezuela's crude goes to China. Over the last 2 decades, Beijing has lent Caracas more than $60 billion. When tensions spiked, Maduro turned to Xi Jinping for help. He requested Beijing for assistance. And that makes it a headache for Washington. The US has long tried to keep China out of the Western Hemisphere. And under Donald Trump, that push became unmistakably aggressive. There were some attempts at de-escalation. Maduro even wrote a letter to Trump. He offered to help Trump hunt Venezuelan gang leaders. But the US president was not interested.
Have seen this letter. Frankly, I think there were a lot of lies that were repeated by Maduro in that letter, and the administration's position on Venezuela has not changed. We view the Maduro regime as illegitimate, and the president has clearly shown that he's willing to use any and all means necessary to stop the illegal trafficking of deadly drugs from the Venezuelan regime into the United States of America.
But here's the thing. Striking boats in international waters is one thing. Striking inside a country, that to a country like Venezuela, that's a whole different ballgame. Because there's sovereignty, international law, potential civilian casualties, and the risk of dragging the US into a broader conflict. So this is no small decision. Which brings us to the question, what happens next? American warships are lurking in the region. So the next few weeks are going to be crucial. Will it be a quiet show of force or a full-blown crisis? I guess we'll have to wait and watch.
First post now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
And the 36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI
German,
turun dan direktur
Hindi,
Israel dalam kepentingan
Indonesian,
tanpa pemeriksaan
Italian,
sekali radikal
Japanese,
4兆ドル以上
Portuguese,
kau satu berapa bagus tapi memang
Spanish.
beautiful mirror
Go to settings, click on audio track and select the language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. First post.
Marshall, thanks for sitting down with us. We really appreciate it. We'll get to the statement, but first we're going to talk about the more recent event, actually the prior events and now the more recent events. Take me back to the summer of 2017. What happened to your parents?
My mother wrote me a note, which the police must have now, describing her walking across Whitehall Road. I'm not Whitehall, Wolf Road, and she fell down on her face. And she had, when I saw her a week or so later, yellow, green, black, and blue marks on this. And she wrote that down, and that was a situation that became a problem, because when elderly start to fall down, the time comes that they start, beginning and end. And my father also had cataract surgery. He lost his vision to double vision, so it couldn't be he couldn't drive. So they were losing their independence and so forth. And my mother had a brother who had Alzheimer's, and my father had a sister who had Alzheimer's. They were both in nursing homes. My mother had a second sister who also had Alzheimer's. And they put you in a bed, they put catheters into you, they rip your teeth out to try and keep you, the whole 9 yards. So this is in the back of my mind.
So you didn't want to see them deteriorate and go through that. Did you?
The police know about my sister and having to see my sister die from cancer. I was 16, she was 14. Go through 9 months or so of, the agony of cancer.
Mm-hmm. So did you kill your parents as a mercy killing to put them out of their misery? You can be honest with us.
I'll leave that for the statement that I put on the website.
The statement doesn't mention that.
I know,
The statement does not mention that.
Right.
I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
What did you do to your parents?
I buried them in the property.
You buried them in the backyard of that house in Albany.
Right.
At what point did they become deceased?
I need to see a calendar to sometime August 2017.
And did they die at your hand? That's the question.
Right. I'll have to leave it for that statement.
But that's not in the statement. And I think it's important for people to know what happened to your parents.
Right.
They were your parents. You loved